Aloha, everybody. This is Dave Wallace coming to you from my home here in Waihawa, Hawaii. And aloha and welcome to my Sunday Talk Story Time. Today is August the 8th, 2021, and marks a series of events that occurred on this day that's very important to me. The first is this is my wife's birthday. So happy birthday, sweetie. Love you. The second thing is that in 2008, Ella and I got married on this date. Okay, we chose the date because of the number of eights, and I wanted to get married at 8:08 in the morning. So Ella and I flew to the island of Molokai where we got married on August 8, 2008 at 8:08 in the morning. Okay, so that was really good to be with my dad and my brother and his wife and my family and our family. It was a small gathering there, and we were able to get married there, and that was our beginning. That was the beginning of our marriage together. And today's the 13th year that we've been married. So thank you so much. Okay, my dear. Today also marks the peak of the Lions Gate portal, and this happens every year on the 8th of August. The Lions Gate portal opens up, and this is a period of time where you can take to kind of like remake yourself, and this is new beginning for those of you who want, and it's an opportunity to make the changes necessary in your life. So I've been contemplating some of the changes that I need to make in my life, and the biggest thing is for me is this bout that I have of self-doubting. Yeah, with all of the gifts and opportunities that I have, I still find myself at times doubting my abilities. And so it always creeps up once in a while where I begin second guessing. And when I start second guessing myself, that's when I start making mistakes, especially on my remote viewing challenges. Okay, so this is one thing that I need to work on, not only during this time when the portal is open, but also to continue throughout the rest of the year. Anyway, another important event that occurred a few days before our 6th anniversary. This is going back August 4th, 2014, is my dad passing. And it led to a series of events that I would like to share with you tonight. The interesting thing about it is that my sister Ziona was with my dad when my dad passed, and shortly after my dad passed, she called me up on the phone, and she was very upset. And first words out of her mouth was, "David, we lost Dad." And my response was, "Well, did you guys find him yet?" Okay, just the way it came out was kind of hilarious in a way, but she says, "No, Dad passed," and that I understood. So my dad passed on Molokai, doing his favorite thing. He was at Kolohe and with my sister, and they had just gotten through eating a really good meal, and then he died of a heart attack. They tried to revive him, but he could not revive him. So while my sister was there, they were making arrangements for my dad's funeral and taking care of his body. And when finally the time before his funeral came, I flew to Molokai, and I had the chance to stay in my childhood home. Okay, and I was there for until the funeral was over, and I had time to spend with my sisters. And while I was there, I forgot how Kolohe some of the spirits in the place could be. And as a kid, growing up, you know, a lot of times I put things on my dresser or I try and hide things around the house. Um, and these little things that I put aside, like coins. My favorite thing was collecting silver dollars. So I used to collect silver dollars and put them in a jar. And sometimes some of the silver dollars, I would count them every day. I know exactly how many I had. And I also collected the silver quarters. I really had this thing about coins. So every time somebody give me $1, I go down to the bank and ask to change it for a silver dollar. And I kept jars of that in my room. Sometimes I take out my favorite piece of silver dollar and put it on my dresser. And dang it, sometimes the thing would just disappear. And I look around and I ask my sister, "Hey, did you guys see my silver dollar? I had them right up here." And our house, we were taught not to steal, not to take things that don't belong to you. And so I figured, everybody would be honoring, but maybe somebody was stealing them. I don't know. Never knew. And sometimes these little things, quarters would disappear out of my piggy bank, and I got to the point where I didn't trust them, so I didn't trust people in a house. So I started burying my collection of coins under the house and buried them there, and so hide them. But little things, other things, pencils, pens, little trinkets used to disappear. And I remember coming to Honolulu and getting one of those medallions that had a star, and you could write different things. I think you pay a quarter and you can punch out whatever you want, but it was round and you could wear it as a necklace. And so I had this little medallion, and I wrote my name, and I brought it home. I bought a chain, and I would wear it around. A couple days into taking it off and washing it and taking care of it and leaving it on my top of the dresser, it disappeared. And that made me really angry. I was wondering what was going on. And I didn't figure out until one day I decided to put something, a silver dollar, and I think it was a piece of candy up on a big hunk, and see which one would disappear. If the big hunk was gone, I knew it was probably one of my sisters taking them. But if the silver dollar was gone, I mean, we all had money. Money wasn't a problem. So I put it up there, and I went to school, came back home. Nobody was in the house, and silver dollar was gone. And when I started talking to my dad about it, and he started kind of like reminiscing, I'll say, "Yeah, sometimes you put his car keys right on top of the dresser. He goes sleep. The next morning, the car key's gone." So he says, "What's doing it?" And we came to the conclusion that there may be Kolohe spirits moving things around. And so anytime we found something missing or misplaced, we kind of like realized that, hey, this may be the spirits, the Kolohe spirits hiding stuff from us. And so when I went back for my dad's funeral, my cousin Joshua loaned me his spare car because I didn't have transportation on the island during that time. So he loaned me his spare car and gave me the keys to it. And so I drove from his house, and I parked it on my dad's property. And I went, when I came in the house, I put the car keys up on one of the shelves in the kitchen. And the part of the house that we were using at that time was the bottom portion that was my sister Ziona had built for her and her family. That's where my dad and Kiawe, my younger brother, was living in, and so we stayed there. And I put the keys up on the highest shelf where only me or probably Kiawe would be the only ones that could reach it. And so I went to sleep, woke up in the next morning, and went to go look for the keys. Put my hand up on the shelf, nothing there. So I pulled out a chair and stood up on a chair and looked up, and there was nothing on the top shelf, all gone. And I'm thinking to myself, is the Kolohe spirits up to it again? Taking stuff that don't belong. So we searched the whole house, apartment, and I told Kiawe about the keys. He looked at me, what keys? And so we look for the keys, and so the second day of getting the car from my cousin Joshua, I couldn't drive it because the keys were gone. And when that happened, I was thinking, okay, well, why would spirits want me to hang around and stay at the house? They didn't want me to leave. And meanwhile, my oldest sister and my two sisters from Tennessee was invited to stay with my cousin Lionel, who was down on the east end and a caretaker for a very beautiful property out on the east end. So they were staying there. So me and my youngest sister Nani, were staying back at the house. Anyway, another thing that I took to Molokai that was very important to me at the time, I was working with pendulums, dowsing pendulums. And there were 3 pendulums that I carried around with me all the time in a gray bag. And the dowsing pendulums were my favorite divining tools during that time. And I had one that was made of malachite, okay, green, and that one I used when I was trying to foresee something dealing with gaming. Okay, it attracts money, and so I was using that. Another one was a brass diamond tip dowsing pendulum that was kind of like universal. And the last one that I had was a clear crystal dowsing pendulum. And all 3 pendulums had a lot of energy. And normally I put it in my bag and I keep it in my man bag that I was carrying around during that time. But for some reason, I took it out one night and I was dowsing and practicing, and on Molokai, when I took out the pendulums and started using it, the thing was real active, man. Just moving, and very good movement in the pendulums, and I felt the mana there, So after working with the pendulums for about an hour and I was getting tired, I put the pendulums away and I was sleeping outside in a couch in my dad's living area. And I was sleeping on a couch and there was a small headboard with a light right there. So I figured, nothing wrong with leaving the pendulums here on the shelf where the lights were. And so I placed it there and I went to sleep. And that night, I had a real restless sleep, like visitors were coming in and out, and I could sense a lot of spirit movement around me. And every time I wake up and look, I can see kind of like movement, shadow movement moving in and out. And never thought about checking out my pendulum to see how the pendulums were. So in the morning when I finally woke up, I got my bag, grabbed my bag, and looked for my pendulums. And I turned to the table. Pendulums were gone. The bag was gone. And so I called Kelly, did you take my pendulum? Did you take the black bag? And says, oh, Uncle, no, I didn't even leave my room last night. You sure? Yeah. I said, yeah, because the pendulum's gone. Now I got the pendulum missing, the keys missing, and I open up my my bag and I start looking. My wallet's gone. And I said, you know what? I'm a really light sleeper. If there was a human being that came in and took my wallet, I would be aware of it. But those three things were gone. And so I got really, really angry. And it says, you know, I turn around and I kind of like cursed in a way, cussed my, and says, damn it and stuff, you guys need to stop this bullshit. Return these things that belong to me because it doesn't belong to you. And as soon as I said that, I felt kind of like a wind came in. And after short time, I I left the house, and I did have money in my pocket, so I walked up to Kolohe since I couldn't drive. I walked to Kolohe and had breakfast at Cookhouse. Then I walked back. By the time I walked back, my wallet, I found my wallet right on the sofa that I was sleeping on, and I think, the wallet wasn't in my pocket when I was sleeping. Why is it there now? I open it up. There's all my money, everything that I need, put it right in. And I says, okay, I'm going to check on to see the keys. Put my hand right up on the shelf, and there's the key. So now I can drive. And this was right the day right before my dad's funeral in the Kolohe. So I had my wallet returned and my car keys returned. But to this day, I don't know what happened to my pendulums. Now, shortly after being with putting my dad to rest at his grave, and we spent another day settling things with my dad. And by then, evening was coming around, and everybody was ready to go home. And one of my cousins, Sammy, had erected a tent for us so that we could, sit outside and talk story. And by the time we, settled everything and determined what needed to be done with my dad's estate, it was already dark. And so my sister, my youngest sister, was walked away, and she walked down the driveway, and I went to follow her. And as I started following her, I looked towards the high school, towards the road, and glancing up on the road along Pukapele Avenue, I saw a long line of people. Okay, these are spirits. A long line that went up around the corner, right into our property, and came into our driveway. And they were looking kind of sad. And so as I watched them and the way they were behaving, they were leaving gifts. And as one person come up, they leave a gift on the road, and then they turn around and walk away. They leave gift, turn around and walk away. And I was wondering, were they there to honor my dad, or what was the hidden meaning behind this? And the more I stared at what was happening, I felt like the people there that were standing in line, they were family members and ancestors on that island. And they were not only saying goodbye to my dad, they were saying goodbye to us, my dad's heirs. And I turned to my sister at that time, and I says, you know what, I explained what I saw, and I says, my feeling right now is that this time is the last time I'm going to come to Hawaii, or come to Molokai, where this place is ours. After this, it's no longer going to be in our family's hands. So I told her that, and I said she was the person that inherited it through my mom. The homestead actually belonged to my mom, and I told Nani who had inherited this through her son. I said, you know, do whatever you need to do, but by the next time I come home, this place isn't gonna be ours. It's not gonna be in our family. And sure enough, 4 years later, when I finally returned to put the headstone on my dad's grave, the place had already been sold. Is no longer ours. So the spirits, Kolohe, I think it was their parting shots at me, saying aloha and playing the tricks that they do. Anyway, for the people that are currently living in the homestead, if you folks find a pouch of dowsing pendulums, that's mine. So give me a call, contact me here, and you know, I miss them and they miss me. Anyway, so this is my story for Sunday, and my alarm's going off. And thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed the stories that I share, please share it with other people. My numbers just went up over 800, so thank you so much for subscribing. And until Monday night, I see you folks later. And Monday night, I'm going to be posting the numbers for actually Tuesday night, I'm sorry. Tuesday night, I'm going to be posting numbers for the Powerball. Okay? Anyway, enjoy yourselves and have a great week. And this is Dave Wallace from Waihawa, Hawaii, saying aloha.